Hello and Tashdile to all the class 7 students. This will be the first video of your class 7 science, and we are going to start with chapter number 1, nutrition in plants. So what do we mean by nutrition lana khalla is right. So nutrition, the definition given in your textbook is nutrition is the mode of taking food by an organism and its utilization by the body. So we will be talking about how does a plant obtain food in from nature, and how does it utilize that food. So nutrition la du zambala kengwe chigi ani khala khandes rawa chi gore ani khala di khunzu khandes ani pheju chi yeme subu nanglo la di kol la gor ani chapter number thangbo gi topic dikhare la wim bana nutrition in plants la du zambala ani chishi nanglo la ani seju di khandes li gi yeme ani seju khandes chishin gi pheju chi yeme ka la tayare. Okay, so chapter number 1, nutrition in plants. Right, so in this chapter we'll be talking about photosynthesis, and then we will talk about autotrophs, heterotrophs. Then we will be talking about how some other plants are there which acts as parasites. Then there are some plants which eat insects. Insects and then we will be talking about something called symbiosis as well. Right, but before we start discussing about the nutrition in the plants, we need to know a little bit about cells. Cells we need to know about cells. And in biology, in science, science biology nanglola and cells it is important to know about cells. Why? Because all living organisms, they are made up of cells. Cells all living organisms, they are made up of cells. So cells are like building blocks of living organisms. For example, to make a building we need bricks. So a building is constructed by bricks, right? Same In the same manner, we have got plants and animals which are built up by cells. Zishin da ani semjen dige sama kharige ya dubsha yore soja dige sama kharige ya dubsha yore lawi bana cells ki dubsha yore, right? So a brick is to the building as a cell is to the organism, right? So all organisms are made up of cells, so it is important for us to know about cells. Now when we talk more about cells, we see that most of the cells, they are very small, right? Cell mangche khare pe chinjur pe thamoyor, and they can be seen only with the help of microscope. Cell chinju shu yo ba song zang mi gi tegar thong thu mar khar wala ta go gore la bi ba na cheshe wala ta go microscope wala ta go. Right, so microscope is an instrument which we use to observe or to see very very small object which is not visible to our naked eyes. pet ko tegar thong ma du yeden zo rong bo yoy chunju yoy yoden zo dige garche garige thong re la bin ba na microscope ju chen thong. So most of the cells, they are very small, so we need microscope to see the cells. But we also have some very large cells, like an egg of an ostrich. Ostrich like and this is just a single cell. The egg of an ostrich is a single cell, right? So it's a largest cell. Cell chisho kharre la ostrich ki gonga re la shana digor chimbu pe dua. Okay, so then some organisms, I said all organisms are made up of cell, right? Some organisms, they are made up of only one cell, whereas some are made up of many cells. Cell soja mangche shimba mangche khare la wimba na ani cell mangbu gi dupsha yo many cells. The example do ste wimba example lela sho khare yore cell chi gi dupsha yo gi soja chita wimba na a unicellular organism called amoeba. You have to remember this word really carefully. The name of this particular organism which we can see under microscope is amoeba. So amoeba, it's a single cell organism. It is made up of only one cell. It can be seen under microscope, and it lives in water bodies and or in wet soil. So this organism, they live in water bodies and they can be seen under microscope. They are very small. They are made up of only one cell. So amoeba is an example of an organism which is made up of only one cell. cell chi group yo organism ki example ki shola wi mena kiran su pe khari chena digire amoeba la naming the chena digir chembanya. Okay, and then there are other organisms like us, our pet animal dogs, and we see plants, right, flowers. They are all made up of many cells. So we are multicellular. Dogs are multicellular, which means a dog is made up of many cells, billions, trillions of cells. Okay, so single cell organism, many cell organism. So single cell organism langa zu khala gre unicellular organism lagre. Cell mangbo gu soisha gyo la khala gre multicellular organisms. Okay, so DJ. Then if we talk about a structure of a typical cell, if you talk about the structure of a typical cell, chakin khashish sang war, structure khashish sang war. Cell la wala structure khashish sang war. What are those structures? First is cell membrane. A cell should have a cell membrane. Cell membrane is nothing but the thin outer boundary of the cell is called as cell membrane. Okay, and then we have nucleus in the center, which is a spherical structure. When you go into higher classes, you will study what is present inside the nucleus. Okay. Then we have got something called cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance which is enclosed within the cell membrane. Cell membrane la outer boundary jorla so. Dig nanglo la khari a jelly-like substance jore. Dila khari lagri la wi paina cytoplasm lag. Now if we draw a typical cell, cell gi remuj thila na cell gi observation remuj thila wi paina, then you should draw a structure something like this. You can draw a circle, you can draw an irregular shape boundary, and that boundary is called the cell membrane. That is the cell membrane. It is the outer boundary, right? It separates the inner components of the cell from the external environment. Chilo da nanglo ni ki pala le yawa jenge ki boundary sto dilo ngazu khale cell membrane le ta gogo de chisa so ani kima de la todo stier todo dikhare riri dikhare la women. It is nucleus. Nucleus is a centrally located spherical structure. It is called as nucleus. Cell membrane, nucleus. Ani cell membrane ki nanglo la shimba khardo jelly-like substance. This jelly-like substance inside the cell membrane, it is called as cytoplasm. Now I will give you one simple example to remember what does or to help you imagine what does a cell look like. You can imagine it as a balloon, right? Balloon, you know balloon, right? So you can imagine a balloon. You can fill that balloon with jelly, right? A jelly-like substance. Balloon dinalo jelly dojulu. So balloon gig jorwa. The rubber portion of the balloon, it is like a cell membrane. And inside the jelly that you have put, that jelly is like cytoplasm. Jelly di khardo chadure, cytoplasm do chadur. Ta gambu di nanglo la kirangi jelly luero. Nyamdo la kirangi, you put a large marble inside. Marble chimbujulu we by now riri chimbujulu. This will look like a nucleus. Okay, so you can imagine a balloon filled with jelly, and inside the jelly you put a marble. So marble represents the nucleus, the jelly represents the cytoplasm, and the rubber portion of the balloon, it represents the cell membrane or cell membrane chador. So you can imagine a cell like a balloon. Okay, so the balloon mangbo shuji yatsing neni kharcha organisms. Is it clear? Ta kiranzu casing example to step in by na shuma zinda thought in na kiranzu di chetur you can do that experiment. You can see the cells of onion. You can see the cells of onion. If you look at the cells of an onion under microscope, you will see something like this. Right? Okay. Cell mangu shu chigam chik de do. All these are cells, right? And cell nanglo la de you can see the purple or the blue colored circle. These are nucleus. Cell membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm. Cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. You can see over here so many cells of onion. Okay, so these are onion cells which you can see under microscope. Right, and label if you see a labeled diagram, you can see there's a nucleus in the middle. You have got cell membrane, you have got a cytoplasm. Cytoplasm nalo tongo dongya marda jeli chekbu mardi nalo ya ngobu shemba ante yor shuma zinta tol jangro ranzugi. And then plant onion, the plant cell into zambala, it has got something called cell wall as well. Don't worry about this one. In a cell level cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus sangor. Okay, now if we summarize what we have learned in this particular video, we have learned that all living organisms are made up of cells. Most cells are very small and can be seen only under microscope. Cell mangche karore chunju shoyo sonza ani microscope peju chenamado tongmares. And then some organisms are made up of only one cell. They are called as unicellular organisms, whereas some organisms they are made up of many cells. They are called as multicellular organisms. And one cell gisoyo organism example ni khartena digresa amoeba. Many cells soyo da ngaranso example humans ka example tation digre me. Miladi cell mangbu group yore. And then we studied about the structure of a typical cell. Structure of a typical cell na cell membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. So, thari ngazu video nala dige kola changarta. Ta kiranzo internet nalo la si chani cell kola handu tis ma chayang tabishina digri. Pena chasha na. What does a plant cell look like? What does an animal cell look like? What is the largest cell in the world? What is the smallest cell in the world? Zamling nalo na cell chisho kharre, cell chungsho kharre do, cell ringsho kharre do. Kiranzo odi tana digir. Ani mi gi sobu nalo la cell chisho kharre do, cell chungsho kharre do. Ditana digir. Ani mi gi sobu nalo la cell ki thanga mongyu khazo do. You can look for these information from the internet. Right, so kiranzo assignment chala ni kiranzo dustani cell gala information this months theda cell lana kharesha, right? And from the next video onwards we will be talking about nutrition in plants. We will talk about modes of nutrition in plants. We will talk about photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis la di college right, the reason okay.